All right, so hey guys, it's Kim here with Fairly Fiber Fun. Welcome to the drum carding color management video. I'm going to give people just a couple more minutes to pop in since we are still technically 4 minutes early, and then we'll get started. Good morning, Patty from Washington and Wendy from Alaska. Awesome. Oh, it's lovely to see you. I'm going to move the camera down so you can see the drum carder. Move the light so I get the light better. Okay, so how is everybody this morning? Let's set these aside so they're not in my way. 1, 2, I'm missing an orange. Of course I am. Okay, so these are the colors we're going to use today. Long Beach, Washington. Hello, Rita. Lovely to see you all. I'm going to lose this. I need a safe place to put it. Okay. So can everybody hear me okay? We are working with Tunis wool today. Thank you for the thumbs up. And I have dyed a bunch of it. This is from a local to me farm. Thank you, Rita. And I've just got different colors for a fire colorway that I wanted to do. And I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I thought we could play with it and see. Thank you, Deb. All right, so let's start with the base of black. And I think, I'm trying to decide, I'm really not mentally prepared for today. So we're just going to wing it. So the first and easiest way to put colors together on the drum carder is to layer them. And this will make something like a blended top. So there's the first color. And then we want to put some of this in next. Your imagination is the limit for manipulating color on the drum carder. If you have a color that is too bright, you put its opposite on the color wheel, very small amounts, and it'll tone it down. I like that. I really like that. Can you guys see that? Okay, let me move you down. And then I want to move my light because this is not working very well. Maybe that's better. Yes. Good morning, Christy from Colorado. So with this bat that I'm making here, I'm going to show you 2 ways to make a new colorway out of a bunch of different colors. You don't have to use fleece. You can use comb top or roving. Right there, I was just checking to see where I wanted to put this particular bit of color. I think I want to put the rest of the red in here. Hello from North Dakota. Nice to see you all. I'm going to save this for last, so I'll put some more of this in here now. I am going for fire, something that represents fire. And believe it or not, this is the real speed that I work at. I card very quickly when the fiber is already thoroughly prepped. And this stuff has been carded 3 times already. Good morning from Iowa. I am in Georgia, if nobody knew that. It's lovely to see all of you here this morning. And there's what I consider to be a little bit of ash from the fire. Okay, so let's see how this turned out. I have more blending to show you guys if we have time today. I'll try not to keep you all too terribly long. Oh my gosh, that's pretty. I need one of those tripods that moves with you. That would be nice. You're quite welcome, Jeannie. Very welcome. I'm delighted to be able to show you guys some of the fun that you can do on a drum carder. Now I know my lamp is in the video, but it is what it is. Okay. So here we have solid black on one side and kind of a ashy orange on the other side, and all the colors in between. So we're going to leave half of it as is. If you were to spin this like this, it would be very much like a blended top. Now, question, does this remind you of fire? Because that's what the intent was when I dyed it. So that's the first way you can do blending with colors on the drum carder. And now we're going to do the second way. I'll show you how you can turn this into something like a gradient. Try and decide how many strips I want to do here. So when you're going to do a gradient style, you want to take a strip off your bat and lay it sideways and open it up sideways so that you have stripes. And this isn't a true gradient. This is like a lightly blended stripes. And this is my absolute favorite way to work with color on the drum carder, right here. Just gotta make sure every layer you do is set up exactly the same. You just feed it in, trying to keep everything somewhat in the same place. Split off another one. Now I'm making these kind of thin so that they're really easy to work with. And I'm trying to keep the colors all in their same place. You notice that's getting really well blended now across there. There's no more kind of breaks in between the colors, which is what we want. Now this one has barely any orange, so I'll be overlapping a little bit more where the pink, because that's what red turns into, you know, half the time, where the pinky red meets the orange. And it doesn't look so much like flames anymore. That's okay. It's inspired by, right? Anything goes. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Now that time I was moving the fibers back and forth slightly to get thorough blending where the colors transition, because I don't want my bat to fall apart. And I love this fleece. This is the breed for October. Oh, I got a little more red in that black, but that's okay. Alright, so there's the gorgeous color gradation. And normally I would have put the whole thing through like this, but I wanted to show you all the difference. And I don't think I need to work hard at getting it off. Yeah, maybe I do. Okay, so that is 2 ways to work with color blending on the drum carder. So we have that one, and then we have the first stage, which is more of a blended top. And the next video that I do in I think 2 weeks, we will spin these up and see how they do. So, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bats. I really like how that turned out. And I have enough to make 4. But now I want to do something different. Let's change a color. Okay? This color's too blue. So it is too solid blue, kind of a purpley color. It's a Brother drum carder, Carolyn. It's the standard drum carder, and I got the extra coarse because that's what I prefer to work with for any and all fleeces and fibers. Get all the color out of here. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of blending. And I'm going to try to use just half the carder because this is not a lot of fiber. So I'm going to start with the purpley blue. I just want to change it a little bit. Now, because this is a small amount, I'm actually going to sandwich. Which not all drum carders will do this. I had one that would not do this before getting the Brother carder. Oops. It's okay when you're sandwiching and a piece comes off. You just lay it back on. It's no big deal. So color blending requires more steps because you have to card it multiple times to get it thoroughly blended. But it's worth it because it creates such a lovely result. Okay, this right now is looking like a lovely tweedy bat, but I do want to put it through one more time. Okay, it's not immediately obvious that I'd put a whole lot of a different color in there, but that's because it's sandwiched between other colors. So let's feed it back through. I just added a bit of green to this to kind of tone down the purpliness. So I thought that would be pretty too. So this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where I said something about if you have a too bright color that you want to tone down. Jeannie, this is all Tunis fleece that I processed by hand, dyed, and already carded 3 times before today. And yes, it is incredibly floofy. There's still vegetable matter in here, but I really don't care. By the time I'm completely done carding and I get it all spun up and I start using it, 99% of that veg matter is going to fall right out. So, and what's left will wiggle its way out eventually. Yes, Tunis fleece. If you've never worked with Tunis, you've got to, because it is just absolutely amazing. It is one of those medium wools, and it's got that lovely crimp and life and vitality to it. Watch out, you do a raw fleece and you'll be sunk. It's not for everybody, but I love doing it. Okay, it's a little bit more tweedy. Here's the original. You see the difference? You could put this through a couple more times or leave it as is. I think I will leave it as is and we'll do another color. Let's take this red and tone it down a tiny, tiny bit. No, I take that back. Come on now, where's all the stuff? Okay, should we do Targhee and BFL? BFL is an absolutely wonderful fiber to spin. So should I do this one or this one? So the really dark greenish blue, turn it more green, or the mossy green, and see what we can do adding a really bright color and a pink. So this one. The second colors that's in my hand. Okay, perfect. Now, let me move all this fiber off the floor before I end up trailing it everywhere with my chair. Okay, so since we have a narrow strip, let's just go ahead and lay this down as a foundation, which none of this really needs a foundation, but it's how I work. So I have taken a Tunis fleece that had breaks in it so that the locks were really, really short and nappy, and I purposely dyed it and carded it up to add as texture into 100% Tunis fat. I have no idea how these two are going to work together. So I think I'll alternate between them. Not that it's going to make a difference. You know, my all-time favorite fleece in the whole wide world is Gulf Coast Native. There's a couple of farmers near me that breed specifically for spinning. Yeah, it does. It does look herbal. So those are really soft and fine and lovely. And I'm just in love with those fleeces. I'm in love with the variety in the breed, in the individual fleece. Ooh, I like that. But Tunis is fast becoming a favorite. And the farm where I get these fleeces is actually my favorite farm in the whole wide world. If I could just move there, I totally would. I believe this particular fleece won 3rd place at the Gwinnett County Fair in, was it 2019, before COVID? Uh-oh. No, I don't want that in there. Oh well. It does look incredibly herbal. And just like the first batch we did, you can leave it like this and spin it like this, or you can continue to blend it until it's more of a heathered blend. So let's do that. Let's do half of it heathered and half of it as is. And then we'll spin them up in a couple of weeks. This is a little less than half, but it works. When you're wanting to blend layers of colors so that they become thoroughly blended together, not stripes, you want to make sure you keep your top and bottom up and down and slide and pull it out sideways. I hope that makes sense. So if we were doing striping, we would take our strip, hold it sideways, and just pull it apart in stripes. But instead, we're keeping the top and bottom intact and just opening it up that way. And I spread it out too far because I'm not putting the whole bath through. It's so thin I don't even have to spread it out. I'm really liking this. Even though when I hold different colors together, I have an idea in my head of what it's going to look like when blended, the actual blending always surprises me with how beautiful it is. Just for fun, I'm going to run this through one last time so it'll be thoroughly blended. Very thoroughly blended. I'll probably spin up some of these before the next week so we can do a comparison because we won't have time to spin all of it. But that's turning out gorgeous. And then if y'all don't mind giving me about 10 more minutes, I have one more thing to show you about color management. Now this to me looks very mossy, and I like it. Reminds me of walking through the woods, identifying all the different fun little plants and trees and mosses, seeing how many different kinds of mosses we can find. So there's the, let me turn the camera down just a little bit. So there's the thoroughly blended. This is the one that's all layered. Take your time. Oh, thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. And then here, I think this was the original color we started with. So that's a big difference. This might not be the same color, but I think so. So there we go, is that one. We got a few to play with at the wheel later. And now I'm going to do something just a little bit different. Yes, very earthy and rustic. This particular fiber tends to be very, very creamy. And that gives all the colors kind of a muted, lovely, more earthy feel to them. There we go. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm stripping down, I'm I strip down the bats and I'm pre-drafting them as if to spin. And then I'm going to stripe it into the drum carder. This is a one-time carding striped blend. And I purposely let it go over to where I want the next color because I want some overlap there. Okay, there's color number 1. And then, just for the heck of it, let's do orange next. Sometimes I put tape guides on the feed-in tray so that I make sure I'm putting the fiber in the right place. If I'm going to do a lot of bats this way, but I don't always, I'm going to overlap it with that black. This is similar to filling up a blending board. Yes, Wendy, I have a lot of tips for blending a sweater's quantity. What you want to do is do your first stage of carding. Say you're going to make bats that are like semi-solid, all the same color, all the way through. Mary, let me get back with you on that in just a second. So what you do is you card, say you take a fleece, one fleece, and you card all of it once, every single bat one time. And then you lay out those bats and you divide them in, let's just say you ended up with 15 bats. You want to divide them in at least 8 pieces. Rearrange them and mix them up and recard them so that you have 8 different bats in each final bat, and you card it a second time, and then you do that again. Divide all of your bats and recard them, mix them all up and recard them so that the colors stay consistent throughout. I want to put another color in here. I'll put this color, I guess. Now, Wendy, I hope that helped. Mary, yes, sometimes my fibers do get damaged. When you card a very delicate fiber, you want to go much more slowly and be much more careful in how you work with it. The more delicate fibers, I tend to feed into the carder this way on second cardings. Second subsequent cardings. I think that's all I want to put in there for now. Okay, so now I have stripes across the drum carder. Oh, Mary, I got distracted. I'm in the middle of answering your questions. When I made a Cormo sweater for my sister, I did have to be very careful. I blended it with other fibers, and then I put the fleece in there without carding it first because I knew that would tear it up and make it neppy. So I blended already prepared fiber with picked wool, and that worked really well because it went through the carder I think 3 times, and it worked super well. Comb top can twist up and get weird in the drum carder if your drums are not spaced evenly, or I guess if it's too thick, or if the fiber is super slippery. Sometimes you need to paint it on the drum to keep it from getting damaged, and not that much. sometimes it really depends on the carder and the fiber, and oftentimes going a little bit faster will work better, and sometimes going slower will work better. It's really more about experimenting and trying to figure out what your preferences are. I hope that helps. So there I added some gray-ish, pinkish gray, as color texture across the bat. So now we're going to start over. We're going to put the second layer in. You can do this in as many layers as you want to, so that it's all got a lot of the texture in there, which this isn't physical texture, it's visual texture. Yes, Dara, I paint on the carder if I want small pops of color, and that is another technique, is to put a solid base and then paint on little bits of color, and that's a really fun way to blend. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one since it was in my lap. But I always paint, or I either paint or sandwich my add-ins, like sparkles and silk noil. That sounds good, Jeannie, yes. Paint it on the drum and cover with wool, then run it through the carder to keep like silk and sparkle from getting weird on the carder. Yeah, I either sandwich between bases of wool, or I paint them on and then I'll burnish really good and then cover it with another layer of wool. I like things super well blended. Some people like a lot of texture. I don't. I like my texture to be very thoroughly blended into the bats. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel where I show how to do different carding techniques and stuff. How I change colors, how I manipulate them, how I paint on the drum carder. The older ones were with a different carder. This one is still fairly new. I think I bought it right around a year ago. I'm not sure. You don't like texture either. It's fairly fiber fun. Let me just type that into the comments. You love texture for art yarn? You know, I don't even spin art yarn. Alright, let's finish up with a little bit more of this, a little bit of color. Right now, I can tell this is not even across here. There's, the black is really thick and the red is thick, and then the orange and the brown is not so thick. I have played around with some art yarn spinning, but it's just not my thing. So I tend to not card for it. Jeannie, we all have our thing that we do. That is what we're best at, what we're really good at. And I can't make great art yarn to save my life. Yes, Dara, your pops of color in the bat will blend more as you're spinning. You can add the locks as you spin and kind of catch the butt end of the lock into your single and let the rest of it, the curly bit of it, fall out so that it's obvious that it's art. I've done that some. Christy, you're not boring, honey. If you were, I would be too. I've tried coils and beehives and lock spinning and all sorts of things, and it just, I want to zone out and just spin. I start to find electric harder than I end up getting nets sometimes. It's frustrating. That might be because it's a fine carder. That's why I stay away from the fines. They do tend to create a lot of nets. I don't know if changing the speed to a little bit slower might help. Slowing down the ratio between the two drums. I don't know if you can. I don't know much about those. So I don't really know what to tell you about that, but I do stay away from the fine teeth drum carders because I have that problem too. So there's a striped bat. Run through the carder just once, while the first one we did is much more blended, and of course the colors are in a different order. Thank you. Christy, I don't like working with singles. Isn't that too funny? I love 2-ply and 3-ply yarns. These are really gorgeous. So that's a good starting place for all of you. Let me move the camera so you can see my face. There, TV in the kitchen behind me. So we have worked on thoroughly blending a heathered and layering the same fiber to see how it'll spin up differently. We have lightly blended for a more obvious heathering in the spin. We've done a blended top style bat, layered bat, to spin end to end. And we've done two different versions. We've done a more gradient version of striping and a not gradient version where the colors are very clean and precise. And I think that's a pretty good start for learning how to manipulate color on the drum carder. Barber pole, that's super easy, Jeannie. If you want to spin 2 singles of 2 different colors and ply them together, you'll get a barber pole. This is going to barber pole like crazy, and that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, Wendy. I did have fun with this. I had a lot of fun. And I'm so glad you were all here with me. I've been looking forward to this all week. To be honest, a whole month. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your carding and have fun with everything you do. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.